I just finished redesigning the links tab for the Mavely app, and the purpose of this project was to add in a few features to help better track and manage your affiliate links, but I took this opportunity to completely overhaul the UI design of the Mavely app, and so I wanted to just create this video and walk you through my design process so you can get a better idea of how I think about UI and UX problems. So we're going to start pretty broad. I want to give you a hyperlapse of the entire app project coming together so you can see my process from start to finish, and then I walk you through the user flow and UX experience for the app, and then I'll dive into a few of the details on how we really made this app pop. But what I wanted to do was take the Mavely brand, which is really strong. They have a great presence on their website, social media, and their marketing, and I wanted to translate that into an app design so it really felt like it was part of the cohesive Mavely experience. So with that said, let's dive into the video. So my process usually begins with some sketches. It's a really easy way to concept out some ideas and try to figure out how I might want to lay things out. So I like to sketch each of the different pages that I think I might be needing. Here you see me sketching the analytics page. Now I'm going to head over to Figma and start setting up my color settings, my type settings, bringing those drawings into Figma, setting up my grid for my layouts, and then I'm going to start on my links tab. This was kind of the first one I wanted to tackle because it was the most complex. So you'll see me start to lay out some different ideas on a wireframe. The wireframe, we're not really concerned with images or making things look exactly perfect, getting the sizing right. It's more about playing with spacing and flow and trying to figure out how this might want to interact and how a user might work their way through the application. Now we're working on that links card, trying to figure out what information we really need to be displaying down here, what features a person might look for, and how we're going to display the link data. Here I'm experimenting with some menu icons, just stock icons, link layouts, and then moving on to the groups tab, which I felt was one of the most important tabs to really get right. Here you can see me working with the menu and the links. And then lastly, I moved on to the analytics, where I just needed to build out a dashboard display for what the analytics would show. So just using some dummy data, trying to figure out how I want to lay this out so that the users can really understand what they're looking at. Okay, so with that, the wireframe is complete, and now we're going to go ahead and start working on the actual application mockup. So this means I'm bringing in my own icons. I'm starting to get a lot more particular about my spacing, about my typography design, bringing in images. You'll see me with the brands here. We're going to bring in a lot of the brand images. We're going to make sure that the buttons are lined correctly. We're going to start to actually customize each of those brand cards so it doesn't just look like dummy data, but it actually looks like this is a dynamic application. Now we're moving down to the links tab, where we got to lay out all of those different link blocks. I did have to rearrange the spacing on a few different elements here, including making the link card a little bit bigger. So then I had to figure out how I was going to lay out the link data with the bigger card size. I'm bringing in some icons for the analytics bar at the bottom of the link card, just so that it can be a little more cleaned up, a little more fresh feeling. Instead of using the words, it also gives us more space to put the numbers in there. And now I'm going to go ahead and make each of those links kind of its own thing, so it feels like there's a lot of different links. That's just a component that I'm editing in Figma to really customize the feel of this application. Now I'm working on that My Links slide up tab, so we got to animate that in. We got to add in a lot of links so that it feels like there's enough data there to really populate the app. We also have to make sure that that animation works seamlessly within the flow of the user interface. Now I'm moving on to building out that groups tab. I want to make sure that I get the coloring right. I want to make sure that I get the layout exactly right on this groups tab. This is the one where I had to kind of design everything from scratch because this wasn't a feature that existed in the app before this. So that meant modifying all my cards a little bit, making sure everything was laid out correctly and that it made sense to a user what they were supposed to do with the groups tab. Had to do a little bit of extra animating work to make sure that those cards could slide horizontally across the screen. Next up, I wanted to animate the menu icon so it was an arrow and then build out that analytics page. So here we're using a lot of the similar style from what the wireframe had, just laying it out a little bit different. I wanted that share button to be a little bit bigger, more like a banner, and I think that's it. And lastly, I just need to make sure that everything is actually working correctly. So make sure all the buttons are linked up correctly, make sure everything's scrolling correctly, make sure that the cards are dragging back and forth and they're not getting cropped or pinched, and everything's looking really good, so I think we're ready to ship it. So now that you've seen this whole thing come together, let me walk you through the app page by page and show you the user flow that I envisioned now that you've seen the hyperlapse and how this all came together. But the first thing you're probably noticing is that this is a light themed app. As I really examined the Mavely brand, I felt like although the current app is built in dark mode, it really felt like it should be a light mode default app. The brand is very light and airy and cheery, so I wanted to reflect that in the application design, and the best way to do that is to obviously use a lighter color palette. Now I want to talk about the actual design style, some of the color theory a little bit later on, but let's get into this user flow so you can see how the whole thing works. So we're starting off on the links page, which is really the focus of this entire redesign, and it's pretty much the same at the top. You have your links, you have your paste to be able to create a link, you've got your brand section. Where we really start to see the change is down in the My Links section on the bottom half of the screen. The current section on the app is just a list of all of your links, kind of sorted from most recent to the oldest. We still have that same list of links down here at the bottom where you can scroll through, but we gave people the ability now to search, sort, and filter through their links. However, what I'm most excited about with this bottom section of the page is that this is the prime real estate in mobile design. In mobile design, anywhere on that kind of bottom third is really great real estate because that's where your thumb can easily reach on the phone. So we've put the links tab with the search, the sort, the filter, the all links, the group buttons, all of that navigation fits right there on the bottom third of the page. And what we did is we enabled the user to actually slide this card up to get a more comprehensive links experience. By creating this as kind of a sub page within the links page, we can now enable the user to kind of collapse it or expand that links module so they can start using the tools that we've created to better organize and understand their links. So the primary tool just pulls up a list of all of the affiliate links that you've ever created and allows you to kind of find what you're looking for within that list. But because we had all of the links together on one screen here, it made a lot of sense to also enable the user to group those links into new folders, or what I call link groups. So using the navigation at the very top of the page, we can now slide over to a collections or groupings page where I can group the different affiliate links that I've created by collection. At the top of the page now, instead of having the sort and filter, which isn't as important for a limited number of groups, we have an add button to create new groups, search button to search through groups, or we have all of the different groups that we've previously created in kind of a quick scroll menu across the top so we can quickly find the group that we're looking for. If I only have a few groups, I can also scroll these cards horizontally on my screen just to go ahead and visit the different link groups that I've already created and scroll through some of my links that I might want to group as top performers, accessories, or fall collections. You'll notice that for each link block, we went ahead and grabbed the image, the title, and we date stamped the link on when it was created, but we've also added kind of a banner on the bottom of the link that shows the statistics or analytics for that link in particular. Now, while the analytics highlight is great, we also probably want the ability to see more in-depth analytics, which is why I enabled us to click on every one of those link cards to visit an analytics page specific for that link. This helps the user get an idea of how each individual link is performing. Now, Now with that overall link flow, I want to go ahead and talk about some of the design decisions that I made to improve the overall experience for the users. The first and probably most obvious change is the design style of this app. Now, if we look at Mavely's brand design, we notice right away that Mavely has a very distinct style. And I wanted to try and marry that style into the application design so it felt like a part of a cohesive unit. This design style is a modern Swiss design, and then I would say it kind of has a splash of what I would call like a chic design style. You'll notice that a little bit in like the typography combinations with different typefaces, some of the more fluid designs, and of course this limeade color, very kind of chic. But I would say the main influence in the brand is definitely Swiss design. You see it in the outlined shapes, you see it in the arrows, you see it in the big bold typography. So I wanted to really focus in on that for the app design. Now the resulting app is a marriage of all of those different design styles. I chose to avoid the black and white design of what would be considered typical Swiss design, just because pure black and pure white in a UI design tends to not be very accessible. In fact, it's been shown in lots of studies that users are far more likely to exit your application if you're using true black and true white all the time, just because it creates a lot of eye strain. It's not very natural feeling to look at. So instead we used shades of gray. Like we already talked about, we used a light color palette, but then we mixed in some of that Swiss design style that we were just talking about with the outlined shapes around the different buttons. We tied in that Mavely limeade color as kind of our accent color for call to actions. And then the other thing you'll notice about this design style is that everything is very flat. Now this is a design style that's very unique, it's very cutting edge, and it's very new, but I really love how it gives this Mavely app a really fresh feel. This design style has been popularized recently by a couple of big brands, probably most namely is Figma, which uses a lot of Swiss plus like Bauhaus design. So we're not trying something that's totally out in left field, it doesn't look professional or it's too new, but it's not the same design that we see everywhere else in the App Store. This Mavely app really has its own look, its own personality, its own feel, and I think this is a great way for Mavely to really set itself apart from the competition by providing an app experience and really owning a digital style that nobody else is really doing right now. So while the UI design feels really new and fresh, the interaction design is very familiar. We used a lot of similar interaction design to what you would find on many other applications, things like cards and sliders and scrolling and button navigation. These tools are very familiar to a user, and what I really wanted to make sure of is that while we're using a new design style, we're not compromising any sort of form or functionality, because part of what made Mavely so awesome is the simplicity of the app design. We wanted to make sure we kept that. And good design should always make it easier for somebody to use the application. So we wanted to make sure that everything felt like it was familiar to the user. So you'll notice a lot of those similar elements. So to zero in on some of those things, we already talked about the links tab at the top being very similar to what it was. We also have this brand section here, which again has those side-scrolling cards, which is very similar to how that brand section worked on the mobile app, but we made some minor improvements to this app section in particular. One of the things that kind of bugged me a little bit on the original Mavely app design was that the brands that showed on the links page were seemingly random. I didn't understand as a user how those brands got selected, because they certainly weren't my favorite brands or the brands that I had used most recently. We don't really need a section on this page for all of the different brands or the ability to sort and filter brands. There's already a page for that. So we'll go ahead and just have a link off to that page on this tab, but we do want to display where those brands are coming from so we can prompt a user to explore a brand that maybe they hadn't thought about. For that reason, I added the popular, recent, and favorites tab at the top so that users could toggle through a few different options to see how it changed those brand cards. And then on the cards themselves, I felt it was really important to showcase the commission rate that you are going to receive from the brand, because that's probably the most important factor for a user in determining whether or not they want to go ahead and create a link for a different brand. So now a user has the ability to scroll through these brand cards. They can see the different brands, and maybe they'll find a brand that they didn't realize was on Mavely, or maybe they'll find a brand they didn't realize had such a high commission, and they decide they want to go to that brand page and link a new product. Now moving down the page, we already talked about having kind of the main navigation for the My Links section right where it's easily accessible for the user. Obviously the biggest user experience change here is the ability to either drag or click My Links to pull that card up and expand the view. At the bottom, we did modify the menu to make the links button the largest centered item on the menu bar. The reason for that is because the links tab is really where we want people to spend a lot of their time. So we want to make it really clear and obvious the main tab users should visit. And clicking that main links button will take you straight back to the links tab where you can find all the tools you need to manage all of your links. Now the last detail I really want to touch on is the link cards themselves. One thing you'll notice that's different is that there's no delete button on the link card. In the current Mavely design, the delete button and the share button are actually seen as equals by the user. The same size, the same color, and when you think about this, we really don't want a user deleting a link. And if we want users to have the ability to delete a link, that's fine, but we'd want to kind of bury that decision so that it's not really a top of mind decision. From a user's perspective, the only reason they would really want to delete a link in the current user interface flow is because they are trying to find a specific link and they don't want to have to scroll through hundreds of links that nobody's using. So they might go ahead and just delete links to make their search a little bit easier. So in order to mitigate that pain, I added in the search bar, the sort, and the filter on the My Links tab, so now you can quickly find and identify the link that you're looking for, and you no longer have the need to actually go in and delete a link. And on the share side of things, that's really the action that the users are looking for and that we want to incentivize on the app. So to do that, we made the share button significantly bigger. It's on the right hand side, so it's easy to access for most people. And then we made it that limeade color to really give it some pop so that it would be a clear call to action. I really wanted people to be able to find and identify how to share this link out with their community so that they can earn more commission. So we added a nice big share button there on the links card, and then also on the analytics screen, you'll notice that there is a large banner at the bottom, again, right where that thumb sits, to be able to share that link out so you can continue to drive more growth and more revenue from all your affiliate links. With that, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope it gave you a glimpse into how I conduct product design. Thanks so much for watching.